Welcome back to The Takeout. Thanks for hanging out with us. Joining me now, CBS News political contributor Chuck Rocha. And we should note his consulting firm, Solidarity Strategies, advising Democratic Senate candidate in Texas, James Talarico. So, Chuck, I know you know the answer to this question. I probably also know you don't want to talk about it. How can Jasmine Crockett win tonight?
He has to gin up base voters who normally don't vote in a Democratic primary. There's two theories of the case here, and I'm not saying that Jasmine's is wrong. I'll remind folks that Donald Trump won his race by jazzing up his primary. So it's not a flawed system. The problem Jasmine has is that she got in and filed on the last date. So her biggest opponent has not been James Talarico. It's been the clock. So in a Democratic primary, mainly only Democratic primary voters vote, but stay tuned. Something different has happened in Texas during the early vote in person. 30% of the electorate that showed up in the primary had no Democratic primary vote history. Major, that comes from two major groups. The biggest one being general election voters who were so angry at what they're seeing decided to show up in a primary. We don't know who those folks voted for. Congresswoman Crockett or Talarico, and also folks who had a Republican voting history. Almost 12% of the Democratic primary voters, get this, in person, already voted, have some history of voting in a Republican primary. These two things are very unusual in a primary.
What have you seen, if anything, about day of turnout today?
It's up. It's up everywhere. And what I was telling people, Major, is that so many people had voted early. Historically, for all of you at home, more people voted early in the Democratic primary than had voted total in all the primary in 2018 or in 2022. And we're continuing to see that surge right now all across the state of Texas, when I thought maybe we had cannibalized some of that early vote and some of those folks who vote on Election Day showing up to vote early. But no, the rate continues. Voter turnout is up in Houston, in Austin. I know they're going through some snafus in Dallas County, but also Bexar County. It's up everywhere.
And Chuck, what does that tell you, or what does it suggest to you about November, whoever emerges from this Democratic Senate primary?
Major, me and you've talked about this many, many times on air, which is a midterm is a different election than a presidential. It's about motivation because normally 35% of the electorate from the presidential year don't show up in an off-year election. So it's about motivating the base vote, Democrat or Republican. It's the same scenario to get them to show up. What Texas has proven right now is Democrats are fired up. And to be fair to Republicans, because that's what I do, is their voter turnout is up as well, but only about a quarter, while ours is up almost 1,000% in certain counties. So you see motivation on both sides because Republicans have a primary as well. It's just dramatically more on the Democratic side.
What is the wind at James Talarico's back?
He has something that's very unique, Major. Me and you have covered a lot of politicians. I got to been about Ruben Gallego and Bernie Sanders, and everybody has their own thing. I was at a rally in San Antonio with James on Sunday, and the room was packed door to door. And a Democrat on stage quoting Bible verses, talking about we've got to look to our neighbors. We should love Jesus and our neighbor. We should welcome the immigrant, and we should fight like hell for working people. I think that's a message Democrats could use to win a lot of elections in November.
Chuck, 30 seconds. How big has immigration played in possibly retilting what we saw in Texas in 2024 to Trump?
There's a whole lot of Latinos in this state that voted Republican in the elections that you're talking about. And they were all for deporting dangerous criminals. What they were not for is deporting their grandmother or their cousin who'd been here for 30 years and not broke a law. It's going to be a big issue in November. And when ICE agents started killing American citizens on the street of Minnesota, it was a step too far. That's why you're going to see a dramatic change back to Democrats by a lot of Latinos, especially in Texas.
Chuck Rocha, always appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.